There's no simpler way to put this. Arcane Gate is essentially getting the portal gun from Aperture Science Enrichment Center and opening new avenues for travel. Now you're thinking with portals. I'm John, a Forever DM and adventure writer at dumbestdnd.com, and today we're looking at Arcane Gate, a 6th level spell from the School of Conjuration in D&D 5e. Available to Sorcerers, Warlocks, and Wizards, Arcane Gate lets you create 2 linked portals, allowing for instant travel between them. Arcane Gate also has a casting time of 1 action, as well as some verbal and somatic components. Before you start dreaming of the gravity shenanigans that you want to cook up, there are some rules to follow. TLDR, each portal is a circle 10 feet in diameter, and you can place them up to 500 feet apart. They last for up to 10 minutes, which is enough time to cause or escape some serious havoc. And before we get to the rules as written, I want to emphasize that each portal must be on a solid surface. Must be. It can't just float in midair. The easiest way to think about it is if you open a portal, there needs to be a space for a person or thing passing through to stand on when they pop out the other side. We've got uses for Arcane Gate in another video and a DM quiz to test your mettle in another, but for now, let's head on into the rules as written. You create linked teleportation portals that remain open for the duration. Thank you, Gladys and Black Mesa, for making this happen. Choose 2 points on the ground that you can see. 1 point within 10 feet of you, and 1 point within 500 feet of you. On the ground. On the ground. I will keep saying this because one of the most asked questions about Arcane Gate is about the portal placement. The intent is to place one near you, within 10 feet, let's call this the blue portal, and then one within 500 feet, the orange portal. You must also be able to see the 2 points. More on what's considered ground later on. You must also be able to see the spot within 500 feet. A circular portal, 10 feet in diameter, opens over each point. This tells us what sorts of things could move through the portal. Any large or smaller creature or object can fit through the portal. Can a huge creature squeeze through? I'd say no. Apologies to the fire giants out there. Same with objects. A large cart? Sure, but not an entire boat. If the portal would open in the space occupied by a creature, the spell fails, and the casting is lost. So no slicing creatures in half with portals. In front, to the side, or behind the creature is fine, but you cannot open a portal inside a Leviathan's stomach. I like the consequences here because it makes adjudication much easier as a DM. Nope, it's on top of the kobold, so it fails. The portals are 2-dimensional glowing rings filled with mist, hovering inches from the ground and perpendicular to it at the points you choose. For ease of understanding, I'm still going with the blue and orange glowing portals. Also important here is 2-dimensional and perpendicular. Perpendicular means the ground is horizontal and the portal must be vertical, assumed and intended to be a 90-degree angle from the ground it's created on. When created, because it's 2-dimensional, anyone to the side would not see the portal. Speaking of which, a ring is visible only from one side, your choice, which is the side that functions as a portal. If you're on the other side of the portal, you see nothing. You just see someone essentially misty step up to 500 feet away. Probably pretty unnerving for any creature that can't see the portal and just sees you disappear. So the enter and exit holes can be seen if a creature is on that side, but not the other side. It's a bit bizarre from a visual perspective, but the spell does what it says it does. Any creature or object entering the portal exits from the other portal as if the 2 were adjacent to each other. Passing through a portal from the non-portal side has no effect. Stepping through the mist is essentially like standard travel and no additional speed or movement rules apply. You don't magically increase your speed as you go through, so no gravity shenanigans here. The rule about only being able to go in from one side, though, makes me think a low perception creature could walk straight through the non-portal side and never realize that there's a portal there. Again, feels weird from a visual and common sense perspective, but I'll allow it since it's a 6th level spell. The mist that fills each portal is opaque and blocks vision through it. 2-dimensional and opaque, but unable to see it from the non-entry exit side. This means you cannot see what's on the other side in both the physical space and in the portal space when facing the portal. If you're a creature on the non-glowy side of the portal, it stands to reason that you see normally still. On your turn, you can rotate the rings as a bonus action, so that the active side faces in a different direction. Rings, plural, so you could rotate both independently with 1 bonus action. There's also no limitation to the rotation, so technically you could spin it all the way around. Rotating away from enemies could be a good way to keep the portal open while also preventing other creatures from knowing whether or not the portal actually existed at any point. Because the portal is 10 feet wide, you will also need to determine the anchor point for the rotation. Is it on the edge, directly in the center? How you rotate could have a major impact on why you're rotating to begin with, so keep that in mind. What would really ramp this spell up is if you could move the portals around to anywhere else while concentrating. But alas, you can't. It's not an option. Overall, the rules seem pretty straightforward and clear on how to adjudicate, but let's take another look at what ground means. Semantically, seems pretty straightforward. It's going to be something sturdy and stable and capable of letting a creature move onto the area. Fair, but what about on a sandbar? If you're in a flooded dungeon, could you still cast it on the floor even though water is covering, say, the first 5 feet? Rules as written, it seems like you could. But what happens with water in that case? Would it all rush out through the other portal? Same with the sandbar, where the sand is sturdy but a foot or two beneath the waves. And what if you cast it at the bottom of a lake? Would the water continue to rush out for the 10-minute duration? To me, it seems like you should be able to cast it as long as over half of the portal is visible and is still touching the ground. Shallow water is fine, but no casting it out over the open waves. Let me know what you think about the water portals in the comments, because I'm not really sold in either direction. Speaking of open waves, I'd allow for portals to be opened on the decks of ships, which means the portal could technically be moving even though it's stationary. Same would go for wagons, trains, or other transports. Does that mean that the portal stays active for the full 10-minute duration, even if the train moves it outside of 500 feet? Rules as written, I'd say yes. Arcane Gate gets into shenanigan territory when your casters start readying spells. From the rules directly, when you ready a spell, you cast it as normal but hold its energy, which you release with your reaction when the trigger occurs. To be readied, a spell must have a casting time of 1 action, which Arcane Gate does, and holding onto the spell's magic requires concentration. Arcane Gate already has this stipulation regardless. If your concentration is broken, the spell dissipates without taking effect. For example, if you are concentrating on Arcane Gate and ready another spell, Arcane Gate ends. If you take damage before you release Arcane Gate with your reaction, your concentration might be broken. There are a lot of twists and turns here, but in many cases, knowing that it must be on the ground is going to cover your rulings. If you're looking for uses of Arcane Gate, we've got a separate video highlighting 21 ways that you can use it, and we'll link to that in the description. Final thoughts, Arcane Gate would be an absolute must if it was a 4th level spell, but with a 6th level price tag, you might be better served with other spells. Personally, I think it's a lot of fun and has a ton of utility, but it's not quite a top tier spell due to the grounding limitation. Let me know what we missed in the comments below, and until next time, roll high and stay ridiculous. Thanks for watching.